First contact. Dr. Elena Vasquez peered through the massive radio telescope's eyepiece, her heart racing. After years of searching, they had finally received a signal, clear, structured, and undeniably artificial. It was coming from a star system just 40 light-years away. "Dr. Chen, come look at this," she called out, her voice trembling with excitement. Her colleague rushed over, his eyes widening as he observed the regular pulses on the readout. It's real," he whispered. "We're not alone." The discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community and beyond. Governments scrambled to respond, the United Nations hastily assembling a task force to manage humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. Over the next few months, cryptographers and linguists worked tirelessly to decipher the message. It contained mathematical concepts, atomic structures, and eventually, a rudimentary form of communication. The aliens called themselves the Astrines, an ancient civilization that had achieved interstellar travel millennia ago. They expressed a desire for peaceful contact and cultural exchange. A year after the initial signal, the first Astrine ship arrived in Earth's orbit. The sleek, crystalline vessel defied human understanding of physics, its very presence a testament to the advanced nature of Astrine technology. Elena, now part of the official first contact team, stood on the launch pad at Cape Canaveral, watching as the shuttle prepared to dock with the Astrine ship. Her palms were sweaty, her mind racing with questions she dreamed of asking since childhood. The airlock hissed open, and 3 Astrines stepped out. They were tall, slender beings with iridescent skin that seemed to shimmer with starlight. Their large, almond-shaped eyes regarded the human delegation with what Elena hoped was curiosity rather than disdain. "Welcome to Earth," Elena said, her voice steady despite her nerves. "We are honored by your presence." The lead Astrine, introduced as Ambassador Zara, responded in perfect English, their voice melodious and soothing. "The honor is ours, Dr. Vasquez. We have watched your species with great interest and believe the time has come for our civilizations to meet." Over the following weeks, the Astrines shared glimpses of their advanced technology. They introduced concepts that revolutionized human understanding of quantum mechanics, opened new avenues in medical research, and provided solutions to looming environmental crises. But it wasn't just scientific knowledge they offered. The Astrines were deeply spiritual beings, with a rich culture that spanned millions of years. They spoke of the interconnectedness of all things, of cosmic harmonies that humans were only beginning to perceive. Elena found herself drawn to their philosophy, spending hours in discussion with Ambassador Zara. "Your species has so much potential," Zara told her one evening as they gazed at the stars from the observation deck of the Astrine ship. "But you must learn to see beyond the physical, to understand the deeper rhythms of the universe." As the cultural exchange program expanded, select groups of humans were invited to visit Astrine worlds. Elena was among the first to make the journey, marveling at the impossible structures that defied gravity, the lush alien landscapes teeming with life forms beyond imagination. But amid the wonder and excitement, Elena couldn't shake a nagging feeling that something was off. The Astrines, for all their openness, seemed to be holding something back. There were areas of their ship that remained off-limits, conversations that would abruptly cease when humans approached. One night, unable to sleep in her quarters on the Astrine homeworld, Elena decided to take a walk in the sprawling gardens surrounding the diplomatic compound. As she rounded a corner, she overheard 2 Astrines in heated discussion. "Cannot delay any longer," one was saying, their typical melodious tones sharp with urgency. "The patterns are clear. It's happening again. And this time, we may not be able to stop it." "And what of the humans?" the other replied. "They are not ready. To involve them now could doom us all." Elena's breath caught in her throat. She pressed herself against the wall, straining to hear more, but the Astrines had already moved on, their voices fading into the night. What were they hiding? What threat could be so grave that it would worry a civilization as advanced as the Astrines? As dawn broke over the alien horizon, Painting the sky in hues of purple and green, Alina made a decision. She would find out what the Estrenes were hiding, no matter the cost. Humanity's future might depend on it. Little did she know, the truth would be more terrifying than anything she could have imagined, and it would set in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the course of human history. As the twin suns of the Estrene homeworld rose, casting long shadows across the crystalline spires of the city, Alina steeled herself for the challenges ahead. The journey that had begun with a simple radio signal was about to take a turn into the unknown, and humanity would need all its courage, ingenuity, and compassion to face what was coming. The Estrenes had opened the door to the cosmos, but it was up to humanity to step through and claim its place among the stars. And as Alina watched the alien dawn, she knew that whatever trials lay ahead, this was only the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure. The Enigmas. 6 months after her unsettling discovery on the Estrene homeworld, Dr. Alina Vasquez found herself back on Earth, heading a new division of the United Nations Space Agency. The Estrene Exchange Program had accelerated human technological development at an unprecedented rate, and Alina's team was at the forefront of integrating this new knowledge. But even as humanity reached for the stars, strange occurrences began to ripple across Earth and its newly established colonies. It started small: inexplicable equipment malfunctions, bizarre weather patterns, and fleeting glimpses of impossible phenomena. At first, these incidents were dismissed as anomalies, the expected hiccups of rapid technological advancement. Then came the dreams. Reports flooded in from around the globe of people experiencing vivid, shared nightmares. They spoke of vast, dark spaces between the stars, of ancient entities stirring from eons-long slumber, and of a creeping dread that seemed to seep into reality itself. Alina was poring over the latest batch of reports when her colleague, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, burst into her office, face pale with shock. "Alina, you need to see this," Yuki said, pulling up a holographic display. It showed a live feed from one of Earth's orbital stations, where there should have been a clear view of the stars, a shimmering, web-like structure stretched across space. "What am I looking at?" Alina asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "We don't know," Yuki replied. "It appeared an hour ago, and it's growing." Similar phenomena have been reported near our Martian outpost and the Jupiter mining stations. As they watched, tendrils of energy pulsed through the cosmic web, and for a moment, Alina thought she saw shapes moving within its depths, vast and alien, defying comprehension. "Have we contacted the Estrenes?" Alina asked, tearing her eyes away from the mesmerizing display. Yuki's expression grew even more troubled. "That's the other thing. We can't reach them. All communication channels have gone silent." A chill ran down Alina's spine as she remembered the conversation she'd overheard months ago. "It's happening again," the Estrene had said. Was this what they meant? Over the next few weeks, the situation deteriorated rapidly. The cosmic webs continued to expand, interfering with space travel and communications. Earth's population teetered on the edge of panic as the nightmares intensified, and reality itself seemed to warp in subtle, unsettling ways. And still, there was no word from the Estrenes. Alina found herself working around the clock, coordinating with scientists and military leaders worldwide. They had made some progress in analyzing the strange phenomena, but every answer only led to more questions. "The energy signatures are unlike anything we've ever seen," Dr. Tanaka explained during one late-night briefing. "They seem to be creating localized areas where the laws of physics bend." General Maria Santos, the steely-eyed head of Earth's newly formed Space Defense Force, leaned forward. "Are we looking at a natural phenomenon, or is this some kind of weapon?" Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Alina rushed to the command center, her heart pounding. On the main screen, a massive distortion was forming in Earth's orbit, larger than any they'd seen before. As they watched in stunned silence, An object emerged from the swirling vortex. It was an Astrian ship, but not like the elegant vessels they were familiar with. This one was battle-scared, its crystalline surface cracked and dulled. A transmission crackled through, filled with static. "Injure. They are coming. The Void Weavers, ancient enemy. We tried to prepare you. Not enough time." The message cut off abruptly as the ship shuddered, energy tendrils lashing out from the cosmic web. In a blinding flash, the vessel shattered into a million glittering shards. Stunned silence fell over the command center. Alina's mind raced, piecing together fragments of information. The Astrians' strange behavior, their reluctance to share certain technologies, the ominous conversation she'd overheard, it all pointed to a terrifying conclusion. The Astrians hadn't just been preparing humanity for a place among the stars. They had been grooming them to face a threat so ancient and powerful that even their advanced civilization couldn't stand against it alone. As if in response to her realization, the main screen flickered, showing feeds from around the solar system. The cosmic webs were pulsing with increased intensity, and at their center, vast shapes were beginning to take form. General Santos' voice cut through the chaos. "Dr. Vasquez, I need options. What are we dealing with, and how do we fight it?" Elena took a deep breath, steadying herself. "I don't think this is something we can fight, not in the traditional sense at least. But the Astrians must have had a plan. We need to find out what it was." She turned to Dr. Tanaka. "Yuki, gather every scrap of Astrian data we have. Look for patterns, hidden messages, anything that might point to a defense against these Void Weavers." To General Santos, she said, "We need to mount an expedition to Astrian space immediately. Whatever they were planning, whatever knowledge they were trying to pass on to us, the answers are out there." As the command center erupted into action, Elena gazed at the screen, watching the alien shapes coalesce. Humanity had dreamed of first contact, of finding its place in a grand cosmic community. Instead, they found themselves thrust into an ancient war, fighting for the very fabric of reality itself. The Astrians had vanished, leaving humanity to face this threat alone. But Elena refused to believe it was hopeless. They had been chosen for a reason, prepared for this moment. As she began coordinating the expedition into Astrian space, Elena silently vowed to uncover the truth, to find the weapon or knowledge that could turn the tide against this cosmic horror. The Astrians had passed the torch to humanity. Now, it was up to them to keep the light burning against the encroaching darkness. Little did they know, the journey to save their reality would take them to the very edges of existence, challenging everything they thought they knew about the universe and their place within it. The hunt for answers. The UES Prometheus, humanity's most advanced starship, hummed with nervous energy as it prepared to jump into Astrian space. Dr. Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge, watching the crew make final preparations. The ship represented the pinnacle of human Astrian hybrid technology, but Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were woefully unprepared for what lay ahead. "Final checks complete, Doctor," Captain Zara Rodriguez announced. "We're ready to initiate the jump drive." Elena nodded, her throat tight. "Proceed, Captain." The ship shuddered as reality itself seemed to bend around them. In a flash of blinding light, they were thrust across 40 light-years of space. As the view screens cleared, a collective gasp went up from the bridge crew. Where they had expected to find the gleaming worlds of the Astrian civilization, there was only devastation. Shattered planets and ruined space stations drifted in eerie silence. "My God," Elena whispered. "What happened here?" Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship, multiple anomalies detected. The science officer called out. "They matched the energy signatures of the cosmic webs we observed in our system. Evasive maneuvers," Captain Rodriguez ordered, but it was too late. Tendrils of otherworldly energy lashed out, enveloping the Prometheus in a shimmering cocoon. The ship's systems flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. As emergency power kicked in, Elena felt a chill run down her spine. The view screens were alive with swirling patterns, and within them she could almost make out faces, ancient, alien, and filled with malevolent intelligence. "It's them," she breathed. "The Void Weavers." For a moment that stretched into eternity, Alina felt the weight of an alien consciousness pressing against her mind. Visions of cosmic horror flooded her senses, realities torn asunder, civilizations snuffed out like candles, the very fabric of space-time unraveling. Then, as suddenly as it began, the assault ceased. The energy cocoon dissipated, and the Prometheus's systems sputtered back to life. "Report," Captain Rodriguez demanded, her voice steady despite the fear evident in her eyes. "All systems operational," the XO responded. "But, Captain, we've been moved. We're in orbit around the third planet of the system." Alina rushed to the science station, her heart pounding. "Scan the surface. Look for any signs of Estrine technology or survivors." As the scans came in, a glimmer of hope emerged. There, nestled in a mountain range on the planet's northern continent, was an energy signature that could only be Estrine in origin. The landing party, led by Alina and protected by a squad of Space Force Marines, touched down near the energy source. They found themselves in a vast cavern, its walls inscribed with swirling patterns that hurt the eyes to look at directly. At the center stood a pillar of light, pulsing with an otherworldly rhythm. As Alina approached, a holographic image flickered to life, the familiar form of Ambassador Zora. "Dr. Vasquez," the Estrine's voice echoed through the cavern. "If you are seeing this, then our worst fears have come to pass. The Void Weavers have awakened, and we have failed." The hologram went on to explain the terrible truth. The Void Weavers were not merely an enemy, but a cosmic force as old as the universe itself. They existed between realities, feeding on the energy released when universes collapsed. "For eons, we fought them," Zora's image continued. "We built great machines to reinforce the walls between realities, to keep them at bay. But they grew stronger, evolving faster than we could adapt." Alina's mind reeled as she absorbed the implications. "The technology you shared with us," she said, though she knew this was only a recording. "You were preparing us to take your place." The hologram nodded solemnly. "You were our last hope, Dr. Vasquez. In your species, we saw a spark, a potential for innovation and adaptation that we had lost over millions of years of evolution." Zara's image gestured to the pillar of light. "This is the Nexus, the control center for our reality stabilization network. We have encoded within it all of our knowledge, our technology, and the keys to activating the network." As the hologram faded, it left one final chilling message. "The torch is passed to you, humanity. The fate of not just our universe, but all universes rests in your hands." Alina stood in stunned silence, the weight of this revelation pressing down on her. They had come seeking answers, but found instead a burden greater than she could have imagined. As if sensing her thoughts, Dr. Yuki Tanaka placed a hand on her shoulder. "What do we do now, Alina?" Taking a deep breath, Alina squared her shoulders. "We do what humanity has always done. We adapt, we innovate, and we fight." She turned to the team, her eyes blazing with determination. "Download everything from the Nexus. We're taking this knowledge back to Earth. If the Estrines believed in us, then we owe it to them, to every sentient being in every universe, to live up to that faith." As they worked to extract the Estrine data, the cavern trembled. Through gaps in the rock, they could see the sky above churning with eldritch energies. The Void Weavers were closing in. "We need to move now," Captain Rodriguez shouted, ushering the team back toward the shuttle. They lifted off just as the mountainside began to crumble, cosmic tendrils reaching out as if to pluck them from the sky. The Prometheus waited in orbit, its jump drive primed and ready. As they made the heart-stopping journey back to Earth, Alina pored over the data they had retrieved. Within it lay the blueprint for weapons of incomprehensible power, shields that could ward off attacks from beyond reality itself, and the key to activating a network of devices spread throughout the galaxy. But more than that, it contained a legacy, the hopes and dreams of a civilization that had fought the darkness for millions of years. Now, that mantle had been passed to humanity. As the blue marble of Earth came into view, Alina felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. They had uncovered the truth, but the real battle was just beginning. Humanity would need to set aside its differences, to come together as never before if they hoped to stand against the cosmic horror that threatened all of existence. The hunt for answers had led them to a truth more terrifying than they could have imagined. But it had also given them hope. As they prepared to face the greatest challenge in human history, Alina knew one thing for certain. The light of consciousness, whether human or astrine, would not go gently into the endless night. The coming storm, the return of the Prometheus, sparked a global mobilization unlike anything in human history. As Dr. Alina Vasquez presented the astrine data to world leaders, the gravity of the situation became clear. They weren't just fighting for Earth, but for the very fabric of reality itself. "We have months, at most," Alina explained, her holographic image broadcast to billions around the world. "The Void Weavers are consuming realities faster than ever before. Our universe is next." The response was unprecedented. Ancient rivalries were set aside, resources pooled, and a unified Earth government established with a single purpose: survival. Project Bulwark, as it came to be known, had two primary objectives. First, to construct a network of reality stabilization devices based on astrine designs. Second, to develop weapons and defenses capable of repelling the Void Weavers. Alina found herself at the heart of this Herculean effort, working tirelessly to unlock the secrets hidden within the astrine nexus. The technology was beyond anything humanity had ever encountered, operating on principles that defied known physics. "It's like trying to understand quantum mechanics with stone tools," Dr. Yuki Tanaka remarked one sleepless night as they pored over the data. Alina nodded, rubbing her tired eyes. "But we don't have a choice. We have to make this work." As the days turned to weeks, breakthroughs came in fits and starts. The first successful test of a micro-scale reality stabilizer was met with cheers in labs around the world. But for every step forward, there were setbacks, failed experiments, equipment pushed beyond its limits, and the ever-present dread of time slipping away. Meanwhile, the cosmic disturbances grew more frequent and intense. Holes in reality began to appear randomly across the globe, swallowing buildings, vehicles, and people. The night sky became a swirling maelstrom of eldritch energies, the boundary between realities wearing thin. Humanity's first line of defense came in the form of energy shields reverse-engineered from astrine technology. As a massive void tear opened over Shanghai, threatening to consume the entire city, the shields sprang to life. The sight of the shimmering barrier holding back the cosmic horror gave people hope for the first time since the crisis began. But it wasn't enough. The shields could only delay the inevitable. They needed a way to strike back. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Adebayo Okafor, a theoretical physicist working on the weapons development team, stumbled upon a way to weaponize the very energy the Void Weavers used to tear apart reality. "It's like fighting fire with fire," he explained to Alina and the project leaders. "We can create focused beams of trans-dimensional energy that disrupt their form." The first prototype was hastily constructed and mounted on a space station in low Earth orbit. They didn't have to wait long to test it. A massive void tear opened near the moon, a writhing tendril of cosmic horror reaching out towards Earth. As the world watched with bated breath, the weapon fired. A lance of impossible light struck the Void Weaver, and for a moment, reality itself seemed to scream. The tendril recoiled, its ethereal form dissipating like smoke. A cheer went up from the control room, but Alina's celebration was short-lived. She knew this was only the beginning. As production of the new weapons ramped up, Alina turned her attention to the final piece of the puzzle: the galactic network of reality stabilizers. The Astrines had left behind dormant devices scattered across thousands of worlds. If activated, they could create a barrier strong enough to push back the Void Weavers and repair the damage done to the fabric of space-time. But there was a catch. The network required a tremendous amount of energy to activate, more than Earth and all its colonies could produce. "We need to think bigger," Elena mused, staring at the holographic map of the galaxy. Her eyes fell on the bright point at the center, the supermassive black hole around which the entire galaxy rotated. The plan that formed was audacious, perhaps even insane. They would build a massive energy collector around the black hole, harnessing its immense power to fuel the reality stabilization network. As Elena presented the idea to the World Council, she could see the mix of awe and fear in their eyes. "I know it sounds impossible," she said, her voice firm. "But the Astrines believed we could do this. They saw in us the potential to achieve what they could not. It's time we proved them right." The motion passed unanimously. Operation Sagittarius, as it was dubbed, would be humanity's greatest undertaking. As construction began on the massive fleet that would carry them to the galactic core, Elena couldn't help but feel a sense of bitter irony. Humanity had dreamed of reaching the stars for so long, and now they were doing it not out of wonder or curiosity, but out of desperate necessity. The work continued at a feverish pace. Cities were transformed into sprawling factories. The moon became a shipyard, its surface bristling with half-constructed vessels. Mars, once the dream destination for human colonization, was now a fortress world, bristling with void weapons and shield generators. But for all their efforts, the Void Weavers grew stronger. Reality tears became a daily occurrence. Entire regions had to be evacuated, abandoned to the encroaching chaos. The night sky, once a source of wonder, now filled people with dread. As the day of the great exodus approached, Elena stood in the observation dome of the lunar shipyards, watching the Earth below. Swirling patterns of eldritch energy danced across its surface, beautiful and terrifying. Captain Rodriguez, now Admiral of Earth's Defense Fleet, joined her. "The last transports are loading now," she said softly. "We launch in 6 hours." Elena nodded, her throat tight. They were leaving billions behind, those who would maintain the planet's defenses, buying time for the mission to succeed. It was a sacrifice beyond measure. "Do you think we can do it?" Rodriguez asked, a rare note of uncertainty in her voice. Elena turned to her, eyes blazing with determination. "We have to. Not just for Earth, not just for humanity, but for every sentient being in every reality. The Astrines passed us the torch. Now it's our turn to light the way." As the hours ticked down, final preparations were made. The fleet, largest ever assembled by human hands, stood ready. At its heart was the Prometheus II, carrying within it the key to activating the galactic network. Elena took one last look at the Earth, committing every detail to memory. Then, with a heavy heart but unshakable resolve, she gave the order. "All ships, prepare for departure. Operation Sagittarius is go." As the fleet lifted off, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of an entire species, Elena couldn't help but feel that this was more than just a mission. It was an evolution. Humanity was taking its first real steps into the cosmic arena, ready to claim its place among the stars, if they survived long enough to do so. The coming storm would test them as they had never been tested before, but as the ships accelerated towards the starry void, Elena allowed herself a moment of hope. They carried with them not just the legacy of humanity, but of the Astrines as well. 2 torches, burning bright against the encroaching darkness. The battle for reality itself was about to begin. Guardians of the Galaxy. The journey to the galactic core was a race against time and cosmic horror. As the human fleet traversed the vast distances of space, reality tears pursued them like hungry predators. Entire ships were lost to the void, their crews' final transmissions haunting the survivors. Dr. Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the Prometheus II, watching as another reality tear closed behind them. "Status report," she demanded, her voice tight with exhaustion. Admiral Rodriguez, her face gaunt from weeks of minimal sleep, responded, "We've lost the Hawking and the Curie. That brings our fleet down to 60% strength." Elena closed her eyes, feeling the weight of each loss, but there was no time for mourning. "How long until we reach the galactic core?" 3 days, assuming we can maintain our current speed," Rodriguez replied. As if in response to her words, alarms blared across the ship. "Massive reality distortion ahead," the sensor officer shouted. The view screen lit up with a sight that stole the breath from everyone on the bridge. A colossal tear in space-time blocked their path, stretching as far as their sensors could detect. And emerging from it were shapes that defied comprehension. The Void Weavers in their true form. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," Rodriguez ordered. But Elena knew it was futile. There was nowhere to run. In that moment of despair, a calm clarity washed over Elena. She remembered the words of the Astrine hologram. "In your species, we saw a spark, a potential for innovation and adaptation that we had lost." "Wait," Elena said, her mind racing. "We've been running from these tears. But what if we could use them?" She quickly explained her idea. The reality tiers were like tunnels between points in spacetime. If they could somehow control one, they might be able to create a shortcut directly to the galactic core. It was insane, borderline suicidal. But they were out of options. The next hours were a blur of frantic calculations and desperate maneuvers. Using the prototype reality stabilizers, they managed to create a buffer around a smaller tear. Then, with a prayer on their lips, they plunged into the swirling maelstrom of unreality. What followed defied description. The fleet tumbled through a kaleidoscope of impossible geometries and fragmented realities. Crew members reported seeing alternate versions of themselves, glimpses of worlds that never were and never could be. When they emerged, battered but intact, they found themselves in orbit around Sagittarius A*, the supermassive black hole at the heart of the Milky Way. There was no time to celebrate their impossible journey. The Void Weavers were hot on their heels, and the very fabric of spacetime was unraveling around them. "Begin construction of the energy collector immediately," Elena ordered, "and prepare the activation sequence for the galactic network." As the fleet worked to assemble the massive structure that would harness the black hole's energy, waves of Void Weavers descended upon them. The battle that ensued was like nothing in human history. Reality itself was a weapon, wielded by both sides. Ships armed with trans-dimensional energy beams carved swaths through the eldritch horrors. But for every Void Weaver they destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. The human fleet was being overwhelmed. In the heart of the Prometheus Eye, Elena and her team raced to activate the Astrine network. As the energy collector slowly came online, drawing power from the black hole, they began the initialization sequence. Across the galaxy, ancient devices stirred to life. On countless worlds, in the depths of space, and even in the hearts of stars, the reality stabilizers began to hum with power. But it wasn't enough. The network was active, but it lacked the coherence needed to repel the Void Weavers. Something was missing. As Elena stared at the control panel, desperation clawing at her mind, she had a moment of clarity. The Astrines had encoded their knowledge in the Nexus, yes, but they had given humanity something far more valuable: their trust. "It's us," she whispered. Then louder, "It's us. We're the missing piece." She quickly explained her realization. The network wasn't just a machine. It was a bridge between consciousness and reality itself. It needed a guiding intelligence, a collective will to shape its power. "We need to link the entire fleet, every human mind, to the network," Elena said. "Our consciousness, our will to survive, our dreams of the future, that's what will power the network." It was dangerous, perhaps even fatal, but it was their only chance. As the Void Weavers closed in, as reality itself seemed to scream in its death throes, humanity made its stand. Through hastily rigged neural interfaces, every person in the fleet, from admirals to engineers, joined their minds with the Astrine network. Elena felt her consciousness expand, merging with billions of others. She saw the galaxy as a living tapestry, felt the ebb and flow of space-time, and understood, finally, what the Astrines had seen in humanity. With a thought that was both singular and collective, they activated the network. A wave of energy unlike anything the universe had ever seen exploded outward from the galactic core. It washed over the Void Weavers, unmaking them, pushing them back beyond the boundaries of reality. Tears in space-time knitted themselves closed. The fabric of the universe, so nearly undone, began to heal. When it was over, when the last echoes of that cosmic exertion faded, Elena found herself back on the bridge of the Prometheus Eye. Around her, crew members were stirring, dazed but alive. "Did we?" Admiral Rodriguez began, her voice hoarse. "We did it," Elena confirmed, tears streaming down her face. "We saved everything." As reports began to flood in from across the galaxy, of reality, tears closing, of the Void Weavers vanishing, the truth of their victory began to sink in. Humanity had not just saved itself, it had become the guardian of all realities. In the years that followed, humanity expanded across the stars, no longer fleeing destruction, but exploring out of wonder and curiosity. The Astrian technology, combined with human innovation, ushered in an age of unprecedented growth and discovery. But they never forgot the lesson of the Void Weavers. In every ship, on every world, humans maintained their vigilance. The network, now a permanent extension of human consciousness, stood ready to defend reality itself. Elena, now head of the Galactic Guardian Council, often found herself looking up at the stars. They no longer filled her with dread, but with a sense of profound responsibility and hope. Humanity had been handed a torch by the Astrines, a light against the darkness between realities. They had nearly fumbled it, nearly let it go out, but in their darkest hour, they had not only kept it burning, they had made it shine brighter than ever before. As new species were discovered, as the mysteries of the universe continued to unfold, humanity stood ready. They were no longer just inhabitants of the cosmos. They were its guardians, the bearers of the celestial torch, keeping watch over the grand tapestry of existence. And in the depths of space, in the heart of the galactic core, the energy collector continued its silent vigil, a monument to the day humanity had truly claimed its place among the stars.